We don't have the same privileges that are offered to straight white men.
And I've been hearing that from a lot of the ladies that I've been talking to today. Talk to me about what some of those privileges are that, you know, straight white men have that you don't have. Talk to me about that.
I think I don't really know. Have you ever experienced like a specific instance?
I don't know, but I also need to go.
I know, I do need to go. I'm sorry.
I put together a list of things that just drive me crazy. Like one up here, you can't say mom and dad anymore because some people might come from a family where there are two dads or two moms.
Talk to me about some of the privileges that white men are awarded that you guys are not awarded. Talk to me about some of the privileges that white men are awarded that you guys are not awarded.
Definitely, like, I guess just getting away with situations. Like, if I were to, like, I don't know, like, I guess, here you go, I have to think about it.
Is it just me? In fact, you can't even say America. I'm not kidding. You can't say America because that implies that America is better than the other countries in the Americas.
You know, it's obvious to anyone not caught up in the establishment matrix that the U.S. is collapsing. You know, when societies collapse, they don't fall in a day. It's a cascading series of eventualities spiraling downward. And, you know, we are, but it's not organic. It's not just happening sua sponte. It's contrived, and today I'm going to show you how and why. Okay, so let's start out with a little history here. Before World War I, Marxist theory held that if war broke out in Europe, the working classes would rise up against the bourgeois and create a communist revolution. But when war broke out in 1914, instead of starting a revolution, the working man just put on the uniforms and went off and got killed in the war. And it amazed them. But anyway, two very prominent Marxist thinkers of the day were Karl Korsch and George Lukács. They concluded that the working class of Europe had been blinded by the success of Western democracy and capitalism. They reasoned that until both had been destroyed, a communist revolution was not possible. So here we go. They admit that everything's good for everybody, but they don't care. They want to tear it down anyway so they can impose their own value system on the human race. Anyway, Korsch, he had been a Fabian socialist for a few years when he lived in England. That's another topic. That could be a whole video. Fabian socialists are everywhere, a lot more so than the Marxists. But anyway, he adopted a principle of gradualism from them. In other words, trying to change things over time a little bit. And Lukács realized that if the family unit and sexual morals were eroded, society could be broken down. There he is, old Lukács. He looks like a communist Art Garfunkel. And that guy over there looks a hell of a lot like Hitler, too, back when Hitler still had his handlebar mustache. But anyway, these are the two guys, man. Take a look. The face of evil. The head of the snake. Okay. In walks Felix Weil, stage left. Weil was enthused by Lukács' cultural angle on Marxism. Weil's interest led him to fund a new Marxist think tank, the Institute for Social Research. It would later come to be known as simply the Frankfurt School. That's a very important name to know. They began mixing the ideas of Sigmund Freud with those of Marx, and cultural Marxism was born. And I wish there'd been abortion back then, on ideas anyway. In classical Marxism, the workers of the world were oppressed by ruling classes. The new theory was that everyone in society was psychologically oppressed by Western culture. So you're not having guys going around talking about the workers uniting. You're going to see who they try to unite in a minute, but it's not the workers anymore. They don't care about them. The Frankfurt School believed there were two types of revolution, political and cultural. But unlike political revolution, cultural revolution demolishes from within. They saw it as a long-term project, keeping their sights clearly focused on the family, education, media, sex, and popular culture. So now some more history. When the Nazis came to power in Germany in 1933, the school moved to New York City since almost all of them were Jewish. Imagine being a Jewish communist in Nazi Germany. In 1934, the school was reborn at Columbia University, and its members began to exert their ideas on American culture. The school shifted away from economics and toward Freud by publishing works on psychological repression. They published the book, this is important, Critical Theory. It was simple: divide people by race, sex, etc., and characterize them as victims or victimizers. Essentially, you were criticizing those in power, in other words, the victimizers, hence the name Critical Theory. They would then create a victim coalition of minorities, blacks, women, homosexuals, etc., which would then replace the working class as the oppressed. So you don't have workers of the world unite anymore. You got, gays of the world unite. That's essentially what it is. And, we're seeing it happen right before our eyes. But wait, there's more, because the major corporate foundations like Carnegie, Rockefeller, and Ford, they got all on the bandwagon with these guys and started promoting them all throughout the United States. And it took off like wildfire in the educational establishment. Money talks. Most people, they're surprised to hear how much big business loves socialism. But they do. I mean, it controls everyone. It keeps everyone dependent. They just love it. It squeezes out the little man because the little man can't afford all the regulations, high minimum wage and what have you, so they just love it. But let me read you what Willy Musenberg had to say. I'm just going to read this. We must organize the intellectuals and use them to make Western civilization stink. Only then, after they have corrupted all its values and made life impossible, can we impose the dictatorship of the proletariat. In other words, life's good, but we're going to make it bad just so that we can jump in and take over. And you'll let us. Problem, reaction, solution. And I did one on that. I think it was the last one I did. But anyway, they had an 11-point agenda here, and I'm going to read off what they had to say. The creation of racism offenses, like, hate crime, hate speech. Continual change to create confusion. The teaching of sex and homosexuality to children. The undermining of schools and teachers' authority, and I especially know about that. Huge immigration to destroy identity. The promotion of excessive drinking, and then, of course, drugs, too. I'm sure this was back a long time ago before they really had too many drugs. Emptying of churches. An unreliable legal system with bias against victims of crime. Dependency on the state or state benefits, so that, your agency beef and whiskey, I guess you could call it. Control and dumbing down of the media, and encouraging the breakdown of the family. Sound familiar? And so essentially, we got these communist sons of bitches being backed up by big money, and they're trying to crash the country so they can step in and build back better. So anyway, if you like my video, give me a like and subscribe. And thank you very much. Adios.